Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a roundup of what does and does not work about the Valeton GP200LT. This is the latest offering from guitar modelling upstarts Valeton, who for a couple of years now have been providing extremely budget-friendly guitar modelers. This is Valeton's mid-range product, but as we're going to see in a minute, I don't think they've quite cracked what a mid-range product should be for them right now. So what's the first thing that works about this product? For me, the build quality. I was extremely impressed with the build quality of the 100 quid Valeton GP100 that I reviewed for this channel a few months back. And I have to say once again, I am extremely impressed with the build quality of this 217-ish pound unit. It's the small things on this that really impress me. All of these selector knobs are proper metal, so you're going to stamp on them and they should be absolutely fine. The display screen is extremely bright. It's more than crisp enough for a modelling unit of this price and size, and well done Valeton for not trying to shoehorn a touchscreen in there. I can only imagine what a disaster a touchscreen would have been on a unit this price. We've already had a bit of a rough time with the Boss GX100 on this channel, to illustrate the point. I'm really pleased as well to see that finally we're seeing modelling units with proper USBC connectors and not the old printer cables that we've been using for the past like 20 odd years. This means that although this does include a USB-C cable, if you ever lose it, you're going to have like half a dozen USB cables hanging around the house. So excellent job Valeton for including a USB-C connection. What doesn't work about the build quality? Only one thing, and that is the omission of XLR in or out. This is effectively a slightly smaller version of Valeton's flagship product, but despite that, you're only left with the exact same output options that you get with the budget entry-level GP100. There are other modelling products on the market around this price point who do give you that. And for you guys who are hopefully going to go out and gig live with this, it's going to limit your options when it comes to providing your tone to a sound man. Bizarrely, they've supplied you 2 inputs for expression pedals and additional foot switches. I mean, who's going to need 2 expression pedals running into this thing? I mean, maybe some of you mental, like ambient guitar players, but like most people won't. So, overall build of this unit, extremely solid. But on the I/O front, I'm a little bit disappointed. The next thing that works about this unit is the desktop editor. You take that nice convenient USB-C port and you plug it into your PC, you download the software from Valeton's website, and you have an extremely user-friendly piece of editing software that allows you to manage your rigs, build signal chains. It's all just super straightforward to use. And I really do have to commend Valeton for making something that I think is very beginner friendly. You only need to just have a rough knowledge base of how amp signal chains work to start building sounds with this unit. Yes, of course, you can build rigs using the built-in controls and the screen on the unit. However, it's just far, far easier to use the desktop editor, and I ended up only using that to build my rigs. Now, what doesn't work about that? Well, you unfortunately cannot create any type of customized signal chain with this unit. So you're not able to split it to make a stereo rig. make any kind of wet dry thing. You're not able to combine, say, 2 impulse responses or 2 amplifiers like you can with the Headrush MX5. You really are unfortunately just stuck with a basic guitar goes in, effects, amps, things happen, and then guitar signal goes out, unfortunately. You could argue that having that type of flexibility with split signals, wet dry, stereo rigs, you know, maybe that's expecting too much at this price point, possibly, but it really would have been nice to have at least like one option like blending 2 impulse responses or blending 2 amps or something like that. So with this unit, you really are just limited to changing the order of how everything comes in the signal chain. You're not really able to do anything beyond that. Now for me, that doesn't work really. What else works about this unit? Well, I have to say, the way it sounds. Now, I have posted up on this channel a free download starter pack for this, which includes a great clean ambient sound and a great high gain sound to get you started on this unit. In that download, I have included my free impulse response of choice, which I really would encourage you to use over any of the built-in cabinet simulations with this unit. The built-in cabinet simulations are not terrible, they're not like offensive, but really to get the most out of this unit, you're either going to want to use the free impulse response that I've provided in that video or your impulse response of choice. Now, the way this thing sounds, it kind of comes under the what works, but also what doesn't work column at the same time. So overall, the amp modeling in this unit is perfectly serviceable. There's nothing in there that's horrible, but I have to say that it definitely sounds its price. It's kind of like the best amp modeling from maybe 7 or 8 years ago is probably about the way this thing sounds. So whilst all the amp models on offer are kind of roughly in the ballpark of the amps they're trying to emulate, there is just that kind of extra dimension lacking that you would get over like a premium end modeler. It really is a difficult thing to quantify, but it's just that extra kind of sizzle, that extra kind of power amp sag that you may get when you crank the volume up. All these are kind of little extra characteristics that you would get from something like a good Kemper profile or some of the best like Quad Cortex sounds. You know, maybe it is because amp modeling has come such a long way and that we have things like neural DSP plugins that can sound just phenomenally good these days, that I am looking at the amp modeling in this thing with maybe a bit more of a critical eye than a few years ago. Like I said, everything in here amp modeling wise is definitely usable, and with the right impulse response you can get some cracking sounds out of this thing. So really, I think for what you're paying, it is great bang for buck. Now, what doesn't work for me particularly about the way this thing sounds is the effects selection. I'm a bit underwhelmed with the ambient kind of possibilities with this thing, which are quite limited. You do have a good selection of kind of standard delays, standard reverbs, but there's nothing in here that's like really giving me that kind of massive, lush, long, decaying type ambient sound. I've tried to get as close as I can to that with the ambient rig in my starter pack video, but I'm not able to get all the way to that nice kind of Devin Townsend-y, stereo-y, spready kind of sound. So, you know, for basic stuff, you know, delays, reverbs, like, yeah, it is in there. But if you're buying this unit, just be aware that the scope for building really kind of strange, like ambient washes or pad type sounds is really quite limited. A kind of amusing addition is some built-in drum simulations with this unit. Practicing to any type of drum beat is always going to make you a tighter player than practicing just freestyle to any old timing signature. Now, I would encourage you to have a play with these actually, because to my mind, it represents something that's like a bit more of a fun version of a metronome. There is one thing I want to bring up that I think really doesn't work about this unit, and bear with me on this: the price. Now, at the time of doing this video, this unit, the GP200LT, is retailing around the 230 quid mark. That's almost the same price as the full-size GP200 that comes with an expression pedal. You can get that for about 280. So it's only about 40-50 quid off the price of the full flagship version of this, which comes with an expression pedal. Now, that would be fine were it not for the existence of the GP100, which is their entry-level unit, which I've already reviewed for this channel. That's just over 100 quid. That's less than half the price of this. So whilst this unit would be perfectly good in isolation, unfortunately, the fact that the GP100 exists kind of makes this look like poor value for money, because for less than half the price, you can get exactly the same quality of sounds, you can get most of the same effects. Yes, there's just over 40 amps in the GP100 versus just over 70 in the 200LT, but honestly, having spent a good deal of time with both units, I would not say you are missing out by having the list of amps that's on the GP100. There's also the fact that for 230 quid, the I/O on this unit is only marginally better than the GP100 in that you get an effects loop, you get MIDI in and out. You're not getting XLR in and out, you're not getting an expression pedal, so actually you're losing out there because the GP100 comes with an expression pedal. Really, you're paying more than twice the price for some extra amps and effects and 2 more switches. And honestly, I'm kind of struggling to see how this justifies being the price that it is when you get most of the experience of this from the GP100, which is less than half the cost. So if a friend was to come up to me and say, James, do you recommend the 200LT? I would say, honestly, mate, just spend a few extra quid and get the full-size GP200. If you're not fussed about having something with 4 switches and an effects loop and MIDI, save yourself a ton of money and just get the GP100. It gives you the exact same sound quality, it gives you the drum features that you get in this as well, it gives you most of the same effects. The free starter pack that I created and posted on this channel was created with all effects and amp models that are available on the GP100. And I didn't do that intentionally, I just didn't feel the need to use really any of what this thing was providing to make the sounds that I wanted. So in summary then, I think this thing either needs to be substantially cheaper, or it needs to have XLR in and out, and it needs to have more DSP to enable you to have a customizable signal chain. So you can do stereo rigs, wet, dry, blending 2 IRs, blending 2 amp models. If the GP100 didn't exist, I would say this is a great unit if you don't want an expression pedal. Save yourself 50 quid. But when you are able to spend less than half the cost of this unit and still get most of the same experience, my advice to you guys would be the exact same as I'd say to any of my friends. Either just buy the GP100 and enjoy the same sounds pretty much, or go for the full-size GP200. What do you guys think? If you are a Valeton owner, make sure you check out my free starter pack for Valeton that's also on this channel. It includes free downloads of my clean ambient and 5150 rigs, together with a free impulse response as well. If you enjoyed this video, you can really help me out by clicking that thumbs up below so YouTube knows you did and can recommend me to other people. It would also really help and encourage me if you subscribe to the channel as well. Until the next video, do take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.